católico, não?
Well, it's a pleasure. Freudian and a
Jungian. We can.
Code biology conference.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your courage to stay to listen to me. Okay, I will try to make this thing short. Several years ago, I was deeply moved by the book Metaphors We Live By, written in 1980 by linguists George Lakoff and Mark Johnson. They put forth the idea that metaphors aren't merely rhetorical devices, but are deeply ingrained in our daily lives. The book begins with the idea that our understanding of the world is shaped largely by conceptual metaphors that we use without even realizing it, profoundly influencing our perception and behavior. Who among us isn't affected by the dirty attitude exhibited by numerous politicians those days? It's not that they are physically wading through the muck, but we all grasp the volume of information that phrase conveys. The multitude of metaphors stemming from our physical experiences is staggering. These metaphors link directions, up, down, forward, behind, with concepts and emotions. Happy is up, sad is down, etc. Lakoff and Johnson emphasized the essential role of image and movement conveyed through metaphor, as aspects crucial to the human mind. However, as early as 1912, Carl Gustav Jung made a similar analogy. He asserted that images are expressions of the archaic aspect of humanity, representing a foundational mental attribute. This archaic dimension, the image, serves as the foundation for our higher mental activities, and from a functional standpoint, the mind heavily relies on it. In Symbols of Transformation, Jung depicts the evolution of the psyche as a continuous series of shifts between symbolic codes. These codes, understood as biological archetypes, significantly influence our rationality and consciousness. However, the deterministic nature of these behavioral codes appears to have reached its limits, as pointed out by Jung. The constantly changing environment and ongoing development of the human psyche have led to a situation where the ability of archetypes to precisely encapsulate phenomena and experiences is inadequate. As Jung suggested, we are standing at the brink of a critical moment. The sheer number and complexity of challenges we encounter are shaking the foundations of our worldview and self-perception. We find ourselves in a situation where we must discover fresh metaphors, richer and more exciting analogies, and introduce more adequate codes, which will subsequently become encoded as new archetypes on an epigenetic level. to navigate life properly. Without this renewal, we risk becoming unable to meet the ever-changing challenges of our environment. In some way, the Jungian concept of biological archetypes prefigures Barbieri's code theory of mind, the idea that there has been a universal neural code at the origin of mind, just as there has been a universal genetic code at the origin of life. I'm quoting Marcello. The proposition of a universal neural code provides the most straightforward explanation for the observation that a shared set of basic instincts and emotions is observable across nearly all animal species. There is substantial evidence that nearly all animals share these fundamental instincts and feelings, from the survival and the reproduction drive, the experience of hunger and thirst, to fear and aggression, and their capability to respond to external factors like light, sound, pressure and temperature. These core instincts and feelings are nearly ubiquitous, implying that they likely originated from a shared ancestor of all animals and have been preserved with little variation since then. This idea aligns well with Jacob von Uexküll's theory. Essentially, animals exist in a subjective environment that he called Umwelt, and their perception of or mental representations of the world are created by an internal mechanism he referred to as an Innenwelt. So, it is this inner world that is responsible for what an animal regards as its surrounding environment. In terms of Jungian theory, the psyche fundamentally consists of encoded representations. From a wider perspective, the psyche can be viewed as a series of images, a highly sensitive and time-dependent structure of life forces or drives articulated through images or archetypes and actions or instincts, aiming for balance. An image reflects the deepest layer of reality, namely, the absolute objective dimension of reality, which, when influencing the animal, impresses itself upon its subjectivity. This creates a space that serves as a decoding matrix for how the animal will interpret and interact with its environment. Yet, it's becoming more and more apparent that living organisms, especially humans, who are engaged in understanding themselves, the world, and the people around them, often encounter anomalies and challenges. When these anomalies and challenges reach a certain critical level in terms of their nature and magnitude, they can only be overcome if individuals effectively transform their vocabulary. This involves finding more complex and richer questions, introducing new and more vivid metaphors, and establishing new conventions. This transgression, a really one, should not be viewed merely as a violation of past rules. Instead, it should indicate that a specific individual within a specific life context feels that they no longer resonate with the existing rules. In striving to retain their individuality, he begins to interpret the world by mixing diverse symbolic codes. In the initial stage, the individual remains within the boundaries of the dialogue among existing symbols, but gradually starts to allude to the inexpressible within the sphere of the expressible, thereby creating a dual language that disrupts the previously coded language. In the following stage, however, there is a shift from current codes to codes that are yet to come. In what we refer to as a true Persian abduction process, we utilize analogy whenever we attempt to integrate unknown elements. Our psychological shifts always unfold according to this pattern. This also explains the profound significance of the symbolic domain in every culture, thus emphasizing the importance of safeguarding those symbols and imparting them to the younger generations. It is comprehension through analogy. It's really a comprehension through analogy. Indeed, the process of forming our personality, in other words, the creation of our individuality from a shared or collective sense that defines us as members of the same species, is the symbolic interplay of metaphors and images in a concurrent gnoseological process of an emotional nature. Therefore, the outbreak of a neurosis isn't random. As a rule, it is extremely significant. It usually happens at the moment when the need for a new psychological attitude, that is, a new adaptation to reality, is felt. Playing with words, neurosis signifies the disruption of a purely autopoietic mechanism. As noted by Marcello Barbieri, the core process of life isn't autopoiesis, but code poiesis. This is why neurosis can be perceived as an exceptional opportunity for transformation and growth. This is the reason why Jung regards metaphor as an indication of the indispensable tension between existing codes and those that are yet to be developed. And it's also why Jung asserts that establishing one's identity involves a journey of mourning. A death trying to enter our space? As the quest to uncover our true nature presupposes the sacrifice of security that the ultimate and absolute archetypal foundations convey, consciously breaking away from the rigid identity dictated by collective norms and codes. This journey unfolds in tandem with the anticipation of a new identity that is yet to materialize, a realm of reality that doesn't exist yet. For a while, a true no man's land. Our present identity and what we could become is a combination of two worlds without deterministic links. This means that a bridge linking those two realities can only be established through conventional relationships, particularly via the arbitrary regulations of a code. This system, this distinctive characteristic is what defines a semiotic system, setting it apart from all else. A semiotic system consists of two independent realms connected through conventional rules. In conclusion, a semiotic system is comprised of at least three distinct entities: signs, meanings, and conventions. This is precisely the core essence of psychotherapy, or what it should be. The biology, the transformation from old codes into newer, more adaptive ones. Indeed, as shown by code biology, the complexity of a living system is determined by the number of its codes. As Barbieri stated, today, the existence of many biological codes is not mentioned in our university books. But this is bound to change, because what exists in nature is bound to appear sooner or later, also in our books. In conclusion, code biology introduces the notion that natural selection and natural conventions are two separate evolutionary mechanisms, and without codes, there cannot be a converging increase in complexity. This is why, in my perspective, code biology holds such great importance for psychology. It has the potential to unify diverse perspectives or schools within psychology, including psychoanalysis, Jungian or analytical psychology, humanistic and existential psychology, and behavioral and cognitive psychology. Thanks to code biology, I hope. Thank you.
Once again, we have...
I suppose they are all tired, so we can go now, no?
We can answer one question if you need.
I'll ask something. So this is in just very practical terms. What you're saying is, we develop and then are held into sort of a rigid identity that's determined by social codes and conventions and our situation. And then we encounter obstacles. And we, as that particular being, can't overcome those obstacles. So we need to rely on analogies, such as David Hume said, for example, whenever we encourage and we encounter a new situation, since everything we know is by custom or habit, blah, blah, then the only way we can reach to a new solution is through metaphor or analogy.
One way.
Said, okay, yeah. Well, he says the only way, but I will give you that. One way. And so is this, so this allows us to what? Re-identify?
Yes, of course, yes.
Okay.
From the beginning, we are a member of the species. We are almost the same. We, in the first step, like William James said, from the beginning, we are the members of the same species.
Yeah.
But as Jung proposed, we are in the process of the individuation, becoming an individual, unique. Yes, in that sense, yes, of course.
So we do that many times over a lifetime?
Many times, many mornings, many deaths, and many renewals. It's the core of psychotherapy. accompanying a person through the wall of the transformation, like once have the all priests and doctors from the beginning of our conceptual journey in Greece, old Greece.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Go.